a pretty simple piece to get rid of here. It's done with a flathead screwdriver, maybe even some needle nose pliers, and you're going to go around just removing these darts right here. Put your screwdriver in here, pop it up. Okay. We have a bunch of those along the top. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we're going to go ahead and remove those 12 and go to the next step. Okay, all 12 are removed. Once that's done, it's very simple to take this piece off. I'm going to set this aside for now. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is take the 4 bolts, top bolts off that hold on the grill. There's going to be more bolts down below. These are 10 millimeter, so we're just going to go ahead and real quick remove those. There are tabs that notch down in, plastic tabs down here that notch down in to the core support. You can't remove the grill at this point, but those are the bolts on the top side that do need to be removed before we can get this grill off. Next thing we need to do is we need to go ahead and remove the plastic piece that runs under the headlight and the grill. Okay, the next thing we need to do is we need to get this plastic piece off, because there are the other bolts that hold on the grill, and then there's some lower bolts that hold in the headlights. So we need to go ahead and we need to remove this piece here. Same thing on the Chevy Silverado. This little plastic piece covers up those bolts. We need access to those. In order to do that, just have a T15 screwdriver. Then we have a little 7 millimeter socket. Okay, so we're going to remove this 7 millimeter bolt right here. And then the rest, we have T15 bolts, screws up here. And take those out. Just keep in mind this one here, when you get done, you're going to have a bunch of these T15s. This one does not have a washer on it. The rest of these do. So you got one back in here. Go ahead and remove this. Try not to lose it. Next thing we need to do is we need to pull this back, because this plastic tucks back in there. Now, be a little careful with this. Again, like I said, it's cold out for me. Just going to work that out. Here, popping off. Okay, you don't have to take the whole thing off. You can if you want to. As you can see here, they are, in this case here, it's double-sided tape held on to this little dart. So, you know, the dart didn't pop out, but the tape did. That's easy. In this case, all I'm going to do is just get a little bit more, put another 2 small pieces of double-sided tape on there. It's not going to be a big deal. Okay, I'm going to save that. Okay, so that's back out of the way now. Got one other 7 millimeter I referenced before, tucked up in. I got to get that out. Put an extension on here. It's not a very convenient place for this. There we go. That'll help. Now when you do this, try to be careful. There. Go ahead and do that. Now, this here is just going to start to pull out away from the truck. the way that it's in there, you can see there's tabs that go down in through. So this may take some patience and a little bit of working, a little bit of force, but try to get a sense of if you're applying too much force. Again, this is plastic, so you don't want to flex it too much. A lot of it is just wiggling it and kind of finessing it out of there. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so we're going to just try to work off this plastic all the way across. This is a good time if you have a buddy to help you out. It's always helpful. So this part here comes off pretty simply, okay? But down in here, there are the tabs that you need to get to by getting underneath the truck, okay? They're kind of a pain in the neck. If anything, that's the hardest part about this whole thing. So we're going to go ahead and get under the truck to get access to that. Okay, so we're underneath the truck now, trying to get access to these clips that are holding on the truck, or on that plastic piece. You can see them right here, nice and easy to see in here because of the silver color of the truck. This black tab just simply needs to be pulled down, or this clip needs to be pushed up, either way. If you have a friend to help, this is where it's really handy because they can apply a little bit of pressure on the outside while you just simply push these tabs up to free this up from down below. But there is one ever so conveniently stuffed back in over here, kind of right in front of the bumper mount, right on the horn of the frame. So you know, kind of have to gumby your arms up in there, but that's the most difficult one. And obviously you want to work your way across, just kind of peeling this plastic piece off along the way. Something that I didn't mention before, get the other side. In this case, in this case here, it would be the passenger side. Make sure that one is done too, because the last thing you want to do is have this whole thing loose and then just have it hanging on that little 7mm bolt on the other side. You don't want to break anything. So you're going to want to work your way across here and then peel it right off. Okay. Flathead screwdriver, sometimes helpful to getting this one in here out. Okay, all the tabs underneath are now loose, and we can take this off again. Before you go about this, make sure you get the driver's side and the passenger side free. Get those 7mm bolts out there. Again, if you have a friend to help, it's nice. So this is all loose. I already loosened the tabs underneath here. So now you just take that off. You can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tabs. These are the two that are in front of the bumper frame mount. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and set this aside. Okay, now we're back to working on the grill. We have 4 10mm bolts that have to come out of here, and that'll allow us to get the whole grill right out. So we're going to go ahead and remove those. Okay, that's all that holds the grill on. Again, on the top here, you'll see that they're kind of tabbed. Some tabs that hold it in. Okay, we're going to loosen those up. Okay, just be careful, it's all loose. There we go, grill's out. You know, this is a great time now. One of the other things we're going to do to this truck today is we're going to color match this GMC emblem to the silver that's on the truck. It's a perfect time to try to do that. To get this emblem off, it's just some squeeze tabs here. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those. Much easier to access it now as opposed to trying to do this with the grill on. Okay, we're going to take the headlight out now. You have 4 bolts. They're 10 millimeter that hold this light on. You have 1, 2 on the top, and then 1, 2 down below. You know, now that we can see here, this black piece here is part of where your plastic piece, your colored plastic piece was here before. So when you're trying to take this off, you know, that piece clips in up on top of this piece, runs under your headlight, clips in up here. So sometimes it helps to know what is holding this while you're trying to finesse it off. So go ahead and remove these bolts here. Okay. At this point, the headlight is loose. To get it off, this is actually nice. They put a tab in here so the headlight just doesn't fall off as soon as all the bolts are out. In order to get it, just push down on the metal, and then there it is. Okay. Keep a good hold of this. Make sure you don't bang it against anything. And all we have to do is just undo the main clip back here, which is, see if I can get the camera around here to show you. Right here, we're just going to squeeze this, and then that comes out. Okay, and there we have it. The headlight's out. All right, so right now we're hooking up the relay harness here. It's a real simple installation. You have 2 connections at your battery. You have a positive and a negative, and they're both labeled. Once you've got those connections ready, don't connect the negative yet, just so you don't have power, any potential power running through this while you're working on it. But we're going to start on the OEM input side, which on the 1500s is on the passenger side. And we'll hook up the ballast on that side as well. And then we're going to run our wire all the way over to the driver's side. It's best to do that underneath this shroud here. Helps conceal it, protect it. So you can do that easily even if you haven't taken apart your entire headlights. So we're going to go ahead and run all this and show you what it looks like. All right, this is a real important harness that you get with your kit, whether you have a Silverado or a Sierra. This is a capacitor link. Capacitor link has a couple of connections that we got to pay attention to. One, we need to ground this out here. Best place to ground it is generally on these cross pieces right in here. The next thing you have is your OEM input, which is going to plug into the back side of your headlight. The plug that normally was in the factory bulb. And then you have the plug that goes into the relay harness. So where it says OEM input on the relay harness, you're going to plug that in right here. Go ahead and remove this, Josh. Then what we're going to do is we're going to remove this bolt right here. We're going to get some sandpaper. We're going to scuff that down real good so we have good metal-to-metal contact. We're going to use some dielectric grease, and again, to ensure we have good electrical conductivity. And then we're ready to go with the rest of it. Okay, we're ready to put the passenger side headlight in. We got our capacitor link hooked up. We're going to run the wires up above the core support so it goes nice and neat underneath the plastic shroud. The plug is out down here, ready to be plugged right into our OEM input, which we have sticking out of the bottom here. We're also, at this time, we're going to plug in our igniter for our ballast. So you're going to plug this in. Then this end here is going to plug into the actual ballast, so we're going to run that through here and up so we can get a hold of it. The rest of those plugs can just kind of hang out behind the light and they'll be all set. I'll just plug in the OEM part. Don't forget to plug in your OEM harness as well down here, otherwise your lights won't work. So there you go, we have all our connections taken care of in the back here. Relay, ballast, and OEM. Go ahead and get our light mounted up here. We'll put 1 or 2 screws in here at the top. We're not going to go crazy securing it yet, in case we have to mess around with anything. Always test everything before you finalize stuff. Alright, so the passenger side is all set up. We'll take care of this these wires here in just a little bit. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to plug in our ballast. These only plug in one way. Alright, so you can see in here one has 2 pins and one has 3 pins. The 3 pin connects to your igniter. Make sure it's seated in. And then the other one connects to your harness. Again, your harness is what gives power to this ballast. Okay. Then we're going to go ahead, we're going to button this up. You want to not have this dangling loosely. We're going to mount this in a spot that's accessible. We recommend you don't hide it because if this ever were to go bad and you needed to replace it, you don't want to have to rip apart your truck to do so. So we're going to just put this right here along the frame, along this core support here, so if we ever have to get to it, we can. Make sure that when you do this, that when you mount it, that you have it so that these plugs are pointing down. The reason for that is if you ever get any moisture in underneath your engine compartment, if it were to be up this way, the water would have a tendency to get down in, could get down into these plugs even though there is a water seal. So just try to mount it so that they're angled downwards. We're going to go ahead and do that. Alright, so we're on the driver's side now. We take our ballast, our amp igniter, get those plugged in. Plugged in on the back of the light here. Make sure you get our OEM plug hooked up here. Run this up through. And then we got the other side to our harness. Get that plugged in. We'll go ahead and secure the ballast just like we did the other side. Tuck the wiring harness up in underneath here so that when we put the plastic over it works. Most important thing right now is to test this. Make sure your turn signals work. Make sure the power comes on with your headlights. If your power doesn't come on, check your ground. Sand the paint down more. Good metal to metal contact. Double check all your connections. You know, sometimes some of these wires that tuck into the back of these plugs can come loose. You know, push them down in there, seat them down in there real good. All right, connections on this system are super, super important. 98% of the issues that we have from customers are due to poor connections. So we're going to go ahead and test this all. Then we're going to go ahead and put the truck back together.